Hello everyone, this is your friend Shinobi Nexus 2.0 and we are back in new fanfic. What if Naruto was Universe 6 a legendary Saiyan and Caulifla and Kale chose him? Naruto XDB Super Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Planet Sadala, the planet of Saiyan warriors. The strongest species in Universe 6. With their unrivaled potential and continuous growth during and after battles, they are always called for if an enemy arises and is too difficult to defeat. The king of planet Sadala is said to be the strongest of all Saiyans. It is rumored that he has only lost one fight in his life. That loss came from his own father. He has a power level of 6 million and the next strongest is an elite guard who is at 900,000. The Saiyan race despite being the strongest were divided into groups based on power levels. You had the super elites who ranged from anything above 10,000. Elite warriors who had power levels of 5,000 to 10,000. Mid-CL warriors who ranged from 3,000 to 5,000. Average warriors who ranged from 1,500 to 3,000 and your below average warriors are the runts of the Saiyan race who ranged from anything below 1,500. This month however, 2 Saiyan babies were born. One girl and one boy. The girl was born with a power level of 1,500 and the boy had a power level of 25. That isn't what has the doctors worried. They can deal with the girl having an unusual high power level for a baby, it's the boy that has them worried. I've never seen anything like this before. Have you? One of the doctors asked. No, I haven't. We should call the king. He might know what is going on. The other said. I'll go get him. He should be doing his usual checkup on the Saiyan children. Another doctor said. 2 minutes later the king walked in. Okay, what is the problem with Kale? He asked. King Borgos, Kale isn't our concern, it's the boy. He has a tail and no Saiyan has ever been born with one. A doctor answered. Who are his parents? Borgos asked. Cress and Wasabi, my liege. Both of them are from the lower CL. The doctor answered. What did they name him? Borgos asked. They named him Naruto. His mother is in the rejuvenation tank. She had some complications during birth but she should be fine. His father was sent out on a high-risk mission with a couple of elite CL warriors. The doctor replied. How long will his mother be inside of the rejuvenation tank? Borgos asked. It's not a guarantee that she will survive. The damage was too severe. She was poisoned by something and it began to eat away at her insides. I was amazed she could give birth in her condition. She's been in there for almost 3 weeks now with no improvement. We're keeping an eye on her condition but it doesn't look good. We've ran a test on the poison and have not come up with an antidote yet. But back to other matters, what will we do about the tail? The doctor asked. Have you tried to remove it? Borgos asked. Yes, I've been trying every time he sleeps. But the tail seems to have a mind of its own and keeps slapping my hand away. The doctor responded. Before Borgos could answer, a doctor came running in. Sorry to interrupt, but Wasabi has just flatlined. We tried reviving her for an hour but we weren't successful. The doctor said. Damn it. Has the team going out to planet Mayonai returned yet? Borgos asked. Yes, they have. They are currently in the rejuvenation tanks. The doctor said. Is Cress with them? He's Naruto's father. Borgos asked. Sadly he was not. His team captain said he sacrificed himself so his team could return home. His captain said he transformed his life force into energy, and the last thing he saw as the cruise ship took off was an explosion wiping out everything in the surrounding area. He also noted that Cress, when doing the move, his power level increased to 80,000, almost as strong as you. The doctor said, surprising Borgos. That's impossible. The last time Cress powered up to his max it was only 20,000 and I could tell he wasn't holding back. But for young Naruto here, place him in the home with the other kids until he is old enough to take care of himself. Keep an eye out on his tail. I want to know if anything changes. Borgos said as he looked up at the GL ceiling. The clouds moved, revealing a full moon, and all of a sudden a sense of dread washed over planet Sadala. My liege, the boy, he's changing. The doctor exclaimed as he picked up Kale and ran out of the room. Borgos looked at Naruto and he was growing fur all over his body and his face started to take the look of a monkey. Borgos picked him up and flew away fast to a vacated sector of Sadala. He managed to get there just in time as Naruto began to increase in size. He grew until he was a 30-foot tall monkey and just started randomly firing off ki blasts from his mouth in all directions. A few of them went in the direction of the main city, but there were Saiyans around to blast them with their own attacks. I need to stop this. If he keeps this up, then he'll destroy the city, maybe even the planet. Borgos thought. He flew up to Naruto's face and used his strongest attack at point-blank range. Chaos shot. Borgos concentrated almost all of his energy into that attack and fired at point-blank range, hitting Naruto right in his face. That should do it. Borgos thought. He was wrong. Before he could attack or anything, he was slapped to the ground by a giant fist and was almost stepped on by Naruto. During this time, a group of 10 elite warriors showed up to help. Lord Borgos, what is that thing? Asked a warrior. It's some kind of giant monkey. I've never seen it before. We need to stop it somehow. This is a Saiyan child who was born with a tail. I can guess that is where the source of his power comes from. We need to cut off his tail. That should bring him back to normal. Borgos said and all the Saiyans nodded. They all began sending ki blasts at Naruto to distract him, but he just kept firing ki blasts from his mouth. A couple of the Saiyans were hit but not killed. They continued to fly around firing ki blasts at Naruto until Borgos got a clean shot at Naruto's tail. He channeled energy to his hand that was as sharp as a blade and sliced the tail off. Naruto gave out a loud roar before he started shrinking back to normal. Finally, it's over. Borgos thought as he picked up Naruto. All right everyone, let's head back to the main city. Borgos said. My king, I mean no disrespect to you, but why bring the child back with us? It's clear that he is a threat to all of us. A Saiyan said. Do not worry, the threat is gone. We've removed the tail. It was the source of that giant ape. He is fine now. Borgos said. But what if it grows back? What if he goes on another rampage? The Saiyan asked. Borgos thought for a minute before responding. If the tail grows back and he goes on another rampage, then I will have no choice but to send him away. But, if the tail grows back and he does not go on a rampage, he can stay. Does that seem fair to all of you? Borgos asked. Yes, my liege, it does. The Saiyan said. Good. Now let's get back. We could all use time in the rejuvenation tanks and I need to get Naruto back to the hospital. Borgos said. They all took off towards the hospital to drop Naruto off and get healed up. The Saiyans were looking at their king and have never seen him in such conditions before. He was only hit one time, yet he had broken bones, cuts all over his body, and one of his eyes were swollen shut. To think a kid did this to me. I'll never live this down if word gets out about what happened. Borgos thought to himself. They reached the hospital and walked into the room with Kale and the other doctor. My liege, what happened to you? The doctor asked. Nothing happened. Don't worry about it, I'll be fine. I just came to drop off Naruto and then head to the rejuvenation tanks. Borgos said as he placed Naruto next to Kale, who was wide awake. Naruto looked at her and Kale seemed to shy away from him. Despite her having a high power level, my liege, Kale is extremely shy for some reason. We've tested her power level again to make sure there were no errors, and there weren't any. She may grow up to be stronger than you, my liege. The doctor said. She just may. However, I don't think Naruto will amount to anything above an average Saiyan. I cut his tail off, so I think that was where most of his power came from. I'm afraid he may not be that much stronger than his father. His mother wasn't much of a fighter, so we stopped testing her power level. But I've heard people say she was stronger than Cress. Borgos said. I agree, his power level didn't even manage to get up to 100. Our average newborn Saiyan child has an average of 120 when they are born. But I will not judge him, for he is only a baby. I will judge him based on how he trains when he grows up. The doctor said as he watched Naruto try to play with Kale, who was too shy to play with him. Well, I trust your judgment. After all, you were around when I was born and I was only average when I was born, and look at me now, I'm the strongest Saiyan alive. Now I need to get to the rejuvenation tank. I'll leave you to it. Venus. Borgos said as he walked away. Don't worry, Naruto, I'm sure you'll grow up strong and have an excellent teacher. Venus said as he looked at Naruto, who was now fast asleep. He noticed Kale hesitantly poke him and started to cry when Naruto grabbed her finger in his sleep. Venus chuckled at this. Oh Kale, I wonder if you'll stay shy forever. Venus said to himself as he went to pick up Kale so he could put her to sleep. It took him an hour to get her to go to sleep. He was surprised that her crying didn't wake up Naruto. He'll be a heavy sleeper when he grows up. I don't think I would want to disturb his sleep. It might not be pretty. Venus thought as he left the room to check on the Saiyans that were using the rejuvenation tanks. 7 years later. 7 years later, Naruto is seen playing around with Kale, who is still shy, and a girl a year older named Caulifla, who is the complete opposite of Kale. Naruto is wearing a white t-shirt with black shorts and white Saiyan combat boots. His hair was black and spiked with a fringe that stayed to the right side of his face, Shallot's hairstyle. Naruto's power level has grown a lot over the years due to him constantly playing around until he couldn't move anymore. He was stronger than Kale, whose power level grew to 7,000. He was stronger than Caulifla, but not by much. They were about the same due to Caulifla being a year older. The power gap between them wasn't big, it was actually small, but Naruto always let her win their spars because the last time she lost, she got angry and almost destroyed an entire forest. Come on, monkey boy, I'm sure you can keep up in a game. Key blast tag. Caulifla said she wears a pink shirt with dark purple pants and black pointed shoes. Her hair is long, wild and spiky. Hey, no fair, you cheated and got me when I wasn't ready. The rules we came up with clearly say you have to wait. And leave my tail out of this. Naruto said, shooting key blasts at Caulifla. That's another thing, his tail grew back when he was 2 years old but hasn't had any accidents with it. Although a Saiyan named Taro that fought Naruto after he transformed, was not happy that he grew it back and was allowed to keep it. Naruto kept his tail wrapped around his waist since Caulifla likes to pull it when he isn't paying attention. Caulifla, Naruto's right. You're supposed to wait until he is ready before you can fire blasts at him. Kale said in her quiet and withdrawn voice. Kale wore a very short red dress with her name on it with some black tights underneath and wore black shoes with red tips, and she wore 2 golden hoop earrings. Her hair is black with a shaggy shoulder-length look worn in a high ponytail secured by a white hair tie, with a bang hanging over the left side of her face. Ah, come on Kale, you don't always have to take his side just because you like him. And stop talking so low I can barely hear you. Caulifla said. She took her attention off of Naruto for a split second and he hit her in the gut with a weak ki blast. Woohoo, that's Naruto for Caulifla too. Oh, and Caulifla, you shouldn't tease Kale so much about her voice. If I remember correctly, when you met us 6 months ago you were pretty shy yourself. You were stuttering more than Kale was at that point. Naruto said, laughing. Caulifla just tackled him to the ground and started choking him, but it was all in good fun since she didn't really put any pressure on his neck and he was still laughing. I thought I told you not to mention that again. I don't stutter. I was sick and had a cold. Caulifla said, making Kale giggle at their antics. Yeah, you had a cold all right. It must have been some cold since you had it for 2 months. Naruto said as he managed to get Caulifla off of him and put her in a headlock, giving her a noogie. Hey, stop, you're messing up my hair. Caulifla said, trying to get out of the headlock. Nope, now say sorry to Kale for teasing her and I'll let you go. Naruto said. No, I'll never say sorry to Kale. Caulifla said, struggling to get free. That's too bad. Now I have to do this even harder. Naruto said as he began to give her a noogie even harder. Okay, I'm sorry for teasing you, Kale. Caulifla said. Thank you, Caulifla. Kale said quietly. Nobody heard her. Okay, I usually don't tease you, Kale, but I couldn't even hear you that time. Naruto said, getting off of Caulifla. See, now you need to apologize to her. Caulifla said. No, I don't. I wasn't saying it to be rude like you were. I was stating a fact in a nice way. Naruto said, and before Kale or Caulifla could respond, Borgos appeared in front of them with Venus and Taro. Can we help you? We were kind of in the middle of a game. Caulifla said. I'm actually here to see Naruto. Borgos said. What do you want with me? Naruto asked. Naruto, do you remember what I told you about your tale? As well as what happened a few weeks after you were born? Borgos asked. Yeah, I remember. Why? Naruto asked, confused. Have you already told Kale and Caulifla about our deal? Borgos asked. Yeah, they know about it. Naruto said. It's true. As soon as Borgos told Naruto about his tale and transformation, he immediately told Kale when they were 4 years old. He told Caulifla 3 months ago during a spar. What's going on? Kale asked quietly. Well, Naruto, I'm sorry, but you have to leave planet Sadala. There was an attack on the city last night and we found fur that matches that of yours after you transform. Borgos said. What? But I didn't transform last night. If I did, the Caulifla would be dead since I stayed at her parents' house last night. Naruto said. Were her parents home last night? Because we really can't take the words of a bunch of 5-year-old runts. Taro said. Well, no, my parents were sent out on a mission before we went to sleep. Caulifla said. She might not want to admit it out loud, but the bond she had with Naruto and Kale was extremely important to her. Well then, I'm sorry, Naruto, but a deal is a deal. You have to leave Sadala. There is simply too much evidence pointing towards you from the attack. Nobody else here has a tail and the destruction matches what you did the day you first transformed. We already have a ship prepared for you. It's set to take you to planet Earth and will take about 3 months to get there. We've packed the ship with food and the latest training equipment at Bina's request so you can train and be able to protect yourself. Borgos said. Earth, I thought that planet was basically destroyed because of a war. Naruto said. It's not destroyed completely. I've had teams checking the planet a lot just in case anything ever happened to Sadala and we needed a new place to stay. It has life and vegetation, but it's extremely scarce. You can keep the ship for travel and it comes with spare parts so you can repair it if you need to. Borgos said. Fine, I guess I don't have a choice. When do I leave? Naruto asked with a sigh. You leave tomorrow. I'm sorry, Naruto, I tried to fight it but the evidence was too much against you. An extra day was all I could get. Venus said. I'll leave you 3 alone to say goodbye. Meet me at the royal palace in the morning. Borgos said as he flew away with Venus. That's what you get, freak. You should have been killed the night you were born. Another thing, your parents would be ashamed of you. Taro said, laughing at the end. His laughter didn't last long because he was blasted away by Naruto, whose energy skyrocketed after that final remark. His power rose up to 20,000, that was half of Taro's full power level. Whoa, Naruto, when did you get so strong? Caulifla asked. I've always had bursts of energy when someone gets me mad. It usually takes a lot to get me mad, but talking about my parents is a huge no in my book. Naruto said as he calmed down. Naruto, you never told us about your parents. What happened to them? Kale asked. Yeah, you know our parents. They said they knew yours but wouldn't talk about them unless you were okay with it. What happened to them? Caulifla asked and Naruto sighed. They both died a few weeks after I was born. My mother died from a poison in her system that was rotting her insides. Dr. Venus said it was a miracle that she was able to give birth, and she spent 3 weeks in the rejuvenation tank but died because the doctors couldn't find an antidote for the poison. Naruto said. I'm sorry, Naruto. Kale said. Yeah man, we never knew what happened to them. I always thought they were some elite warriors who abandoned you after you were born because of your less than average power level. Caulifla said. What about your dad? Kale asked, and they saw Naruto crack a smile with tears in his eyes. He died about a week before I was born. He was sent out on a high-risk mission with a squad of elite warriors to planet Mayonai. I spoke to the captain of that team and he immediately recognized me. He told me his team was surrounded and severely wounded and needed to retreat, but the enemy was surrounding them on all sides. He said my father did an attack that turned his life force into energy, essentially making himself into a ticking bomb. He told me the attack was so strong that my dad almost usurped King Borgos. They managed to get away in the cruise ship, but the last thing he saw was my father exploding, wiping out every enemy within 4 miles of the explosion. The captain came back and after he was healed and asked to have my father's name placed in the Hall of Fallen Elite Saiyans. King Borgos accepted this, and despite both my parents being low CL Saiyans, he was added to the hall within a day. But the captain also said that my mother was stronger than my father, but she wasn't much of a fighter. It makes me wonder how strong I will become. Naruto said, looking up at the sky. Dang dude, that's horrible having to lose both your parents before you even knew them. Do you even know what they look like? Caulifla asked. No, I don't. But I'm told I look like my father, but with my mother's hair style just a lot shorter. Naruto said. I think you'll become stronger than anybody, Naruto. I mean, you're already stronger than me and Caulifla. I think you'll reach new levels unheard of from a Saiyan. Kale said. Thanks, Kale. That means a lot coming from you. Naruto said. So are we going to whine all day like a bunch of sissies? Or are we going to have some fun and make your last day here memorable? Caulifla said. I guess we can have some fun. So what did you have in mind? Naruto said. Well, we could train. I need to get you up to my level before you leave. I wouldn't want anything to happen to you on your journey to Earth. Secondly, we can terrorize Taro for the rest of the day. Caulifla said. Caulifla, Naruto's stronger than you. Kale said shyly. Now Kale, let's not make Caulifla angry. It's not my fault she can't keep up with me in terms of power and skill. Naruto said, making Kale giggle. Just because you two have been friends since you were basically born, doesn't mean you can just gang up on me like that. Caulifla said. Don't worry Caulifla, it's all in good fun. Now let's go terrorize Taro and train before I leave tomorrow. Naruto said, and they all took off running since they couldn't fly yet. The rest of the day they spent terrorizing Taro so much that they didn't have time to train. They made his ship fall apart, planted small energy grenades in his food so it would explode on contact. They even switched his clothes with female clothes and took his Saiyan armor. They finished it up by writing a fake letter from a female Saiyan, saying she wanted to marry him. He chased her down and was harshly rejected in public. They spent the whole day laughing and all decided to stay at Kale's house for the night. Next day Naruto woke up early and saw it was food in the kitchen separated into 3 groups. One for him, one for Caulifla, and the other was for Kale. He did the only thing he could at this point. Food. He yelled and started eating. A few seconds go by and Kale and Caulifla are in the kitchen eating as well. Caulifla is eating messy just like Naruto, and although Kale is eating a lot of food, she eats with grace and proper etiquette. 10 minutes later all of the food is gone and everybody was satisfied. Kale, I didn't know your parents were home. Caulifla said. Me either. I guess they had to leave right out again. But it's nice that my mom prepared some food for us. Kale answered. Naruto, did you hear that? Caulifla asked. Hear what? He said. She didn't stutter her first word. She's still quiet, but there was no stutter. Caulifla said. You're right. You didn't stutter, Kale. Naruto said. Thank you, Naruto. Kale said. And it's back. Caulifla said. She'll get out of that as she grows. Now let's head over to the palace. It's almost time for me to leave. Naruto said. It's complete crap how you're being exiled from the planet. You didn't even do anything. Caulifla said. I know. I was set up. Somebody else did that destruction. Because from what I was told, the amount of power that ape transformation had, I could blow up the whole planet if I went on a rampage with nobody around to stop me. Naruto said. Who do you think set you up, Naruto? Kale asked. I'm not going to say because Caulifla would just attack whoever I think did it. I don't need any of you getting in trouble. So can you both do me a favor and stay out of trouble while I'm gone? Naruto asked as they left the house. I guess I'll try. We both know Kale is too shy to really do anything. Caulifla said. Kale, you're in charge of Caulifla while I'm gone. Naruto said, making Caulifla pout and Kale giggle. Why is she in charge? I can take care of myself. Caulifla said. Do you even trust yourself to not cause any trouble? Naruto asked. Caulifla didn't say anything and just walked ahead with her arms crossed. You're in charge, Kale, like I said. Make sure she stays out of trouble, okay? He said. Why, yeah, I can do that. She said. Great, let's go. He said as they ran off towards the palace so he could leave. Royal Palace. They all arrive at the Royal Palace and see Borgos, Venus and Taro waiting for Naruto. I'm sorry it has to be like this, Naruto, but we made a deal. Borgos said. It's alright, I understand. Naruto said, and Caulifla wanted to say something, but a look from Naruto made her keep her thoughts to herself. Now Naruto, I've had our best scientists work on this ship. It has a training area, eating area with enough food to last a year for a Saiyan, a sleeping area, and you have a rejuvenation tank inside. The training area comes with a gravity machine that can go up to 500x normal gravity. Your ship has a built-in robotic system for guidance, and if you need your ship to be repaired, you just tell the ship to activate maintenance mode. It will clean the entire ship and check for any damage and will repair it for you. Venus said. Thank you, Dr. Venus. I'll make sure to take excellent care of it. Naruto said. Good, now get going before you destroy something else. Taro said rather harshly. Taro, that's enough. Now before you leave, Naruto, I want to gauge your power level. Taro, you will go first. You're an elite Saiyan. I want you to be the measuring stick for Naruto. Borgos said, and Taro nodded. Feast your eyes, kids. You'll see what an elite warrior's power level is like. Taro said as he began to power up. The scouter that was being used to read his level stopped at 40,000. 40,000, not bad, Taro, I can see why you're an elite warrior. Borgos said. Would you ladies like to give it a try? Venus asked as he reset the scouter. Heck yeah, I do. Come on, Kale, let's do this. Caulifla said. Oh, okay. Kale responded as they both powered up. Kale was at 10,000 and Caulifla powered up to 11,000. Both of their power levels grew overnight after a full day of playing around, which they called training. You kids are only 7 yet you're almost as strong as an elite Saiyan. All of this is from playing kid games and friendly spars. Imagine if you were actually trained to use your abilities. You might even usurp me if I don't start training again. Borgos said. Surely you aren't serious about that, my liege. Venus said. I'm serious, Venus. The only kid stronger than them is Kaba, and that's only because he is being trained already. He isn't that much stronger than them though. Now Naruto, it's your turn before you leave. Borgos said. Naruto nodded and began to power up. They were surprised that his power level was higher than Kale's, but he wasn't finished. He kept going and usurped Caulifla as well. The scouter reached 10,000 and Naruto could feel something keeping him from powering up more. Venus went to turn the scouter off, but Naruto stopped him. No, don't turn it off. I can keep going, he exclaimed. He dug deeper and deeper until he felt the energy and his power level skyrocketed. It kept climbing until he couldn't go anymore. How is this possible? He's just a kid. Venus said. What is it, Venus? What did the scouter say? Bargos asked. His power level, it's at 45,000. He's far stronger than Kale and Caulifla and is stronger than Taro. Venus said. That's a lie. That scouter is broken. There is no way a kid can be stronger than me without any actual training. He was born with a power level of only 25. Here, take my scouter and do it again. Taro said as he handed the scouter to Venus. Fine. Are you ready, Naruto? Venus asked. Naruto nodded and powered up again, getting the same results. It's settled. Naruto is stronger than Kale, Caulifla and Kaba combined. As well as stronger than Taro. Borgos asked. When the hell did you become so strong, Naruto? During our spars I always win. Caulifla said. No, I let you win. Do you remember the last time I beat you? You almost destroyed the entire forest because you were mad. But I will say the last time I had it checked my power level was only 8,000. I was powering up and felt a block just now and I had to power through it. Naruto said. You will become strong indeed, Naruto. Despite your low power level as a newborn, you have come quite the way. Maybe on your journey away from here you will grow stronger and perhaps get an excellent teacher to train you. Now, it's time for you to go, Naruto. Say goodbye to these two now. You may never see them again unless they join the Sadala Defense Force or have access to a spaceship and are allowed to travel to different planets. Borgos said. Don't even hug me, Naruto. That mushy crap disgusts me. Caulifla said, keeping up her tough girl image. But Naruto didn't listen and gave her a hug anyway that she hesitantly returned. Take care of yourself, Caulifla. Although I left Kale in charge, you need to protect her since she is too shy and timid to fight. Look out for Taro, I think he is the one that set me up. Don't act brash, just look out for him. Naruto said and Caulifla just nodded and they released the hug. Kale, I need you to grow strong. We've been friends since we were born, so I know you can do it. Make sure you look out for Taro. I already told Caulifla, so now I'm telling you. Make sure Caulifla stays out of trouble. Naruto said. I'll do my best, Naruto. Please be careful out there. Kale said. I will, I promise. Who knows, maybe we'll see each other again in the future. Naruto said as he released the hug. Naruto, I wish you the best in your future endeavors. Venus said as he shook hands with Naruto. Borgos didn't say anything, he just nodded at Naruto. Naruto returned the gesture and walked up to Taro. What do you want, brat? Taro asked and Naruto just punched him in the gut, bringing him to his knees. Naruto leant to his ear and spoke quietly. I know you had something to do with me getting exiled from Sadala. Just remember, nothing stays hidden forever. He said quietly and walked to the spaceship. The door opened and he looked back at Kale and Caulifla. Kale was openly crying while Caulifla was fighting her tears. He gave them one last smile and wave before entering the spaceship. Come on, Kale, we've got training to do. Caulifla said as she grabbed Kale and walked away. Taro, being embered by getting knocked down by a 7-year-old, caught his breath and was about to fly off until Borgos spoke up. Taro, what was that all about? He asked. It's nothing, King Bargos. Just us having some fun. Taro said before flying off. My liege, what do you think? Venus asked as Naruto's spaceship took off. Naruto was set up. Whoever did it somehow got a hold of his fur from the battle. There was too much evidence against him, so I had no choice but to exile him. I'm going to have some people look into this. The entire area was evacuated before the attack, and the distance from Caulifla's house to the city that was destroyed would take Naruto about 4 hours to get to since he can't fly. The cameras in the city were all taken out before the attack. I know Naruto is smart, but he doesn't know how to take out cameras and wipe the memory completely clean to the point that not even a scientist can recover the footage. Naruto in his giant ape form wouldn't just stop at one city. He would wipe out everything in his path and eventually the planet. Taro has something to do with this and I'm going to find out exactly what it is. Borgos said. Anything you would like me to do, my liege? Venus asked. Get some of our best scientists and doctors, head over the destroyed city and look for anything we missed. Borgos said. Of course, my liege, I shall have it done. Venus said, and they both flew away. With Naruto. Naruto was on his ship in space when he decided to get up and walk around. It's still pretty early. I should eat and train. Maybe I should work on learning to fly and use the gravity machine. But first I should look around. He said. He walked around and found the training room. It was extremely nice. He looked at the weights off in the corner. He saw the gravity machine that looked like a normal keyboard with a giant off switch on it. This will come in handy, he thought as he left the room. He made his way to the eating area. It was stored with food ranging from meats, fruits, vegetables, desserts and nuts. He was in heaven and it was enough to last him a year even with how he eats. Lastly, he went to the resting area and noticed it was a huge bed inside, big enough to fit 6 people. He noticed the bathing area had a shower and separate tub with a toilet and sink. He had a washer and dryer as well in a separate room. How did they manage to get all of this in here? He thought as he went back to the training area to get started. Well, I have 3 months before I land, so I better get to work, he said. He walked over to the gravity machine and set it to 5x normal gravity and he immediately fell to the ground. Alright, I wasn't expecting that, but it's time to get to work. I want to at least be able to withstand 20x gravity when I land on Earth, he said. He began to do push-ups, which were extremely difficult due to the gravity. He did 100 push-ups and switched to doing 100 sit-ups. The sit-ups were harder for him since he didn't rely on his arm strength, instead he relied on his core strength. He trained for a grand total of 6 hours doing squats, weightlifting and key control exercises. He tried flying in 5x gravity since it would be harder for him to do. He managed to float in the air for about 20 seconds before gravity got the better of him. He deactivated the gravity machine and walked to the cleaning room so he could wash up. He decided to take a shower and 20 minutes later he was finished. He found some Saiyan armor his size and more in larger sizes. Man, this spaceship has basically everything in it. Dr. Venus really went above and beyond for me, he said as he put on some tights. He went to the rejuvenation tank, turned it on and entered. He set the timer on the tank for 2 hours before letting him out. Man, I should really thank Dr. Venus for this, but I don't know how, he thought to himself as he felt his body being healed. He then started to think about Kale and Caulifla, his 2 best friends on Sadala. He wondered how they were going to be without him there. I give it a few weeks before Caulifla gets into trouble and drags Kale into it. I wonder where her brother is. She said she had an older brother, but we've never seen him before, he thought. 2 hours go by and he is released from the rejuvenation tank. He could feel that his power increased, but not by much. He could tell the gravity training would do a lot for him. My power level should grow to about 50,000 after I rest up tonight. I have 3 months before I land. I want to be at least 350,000 by the time I land, he said. Then his stomach started growling. I almost forgot to eat dinner. That training must have been harder on me than I thought, he said as he went to the kitchen. He grabbed a lot of food and started to dig in. All the food was gone in 20 minutes and he was full, so he decided it was time to go to sleep. He walked up to the keypad on the wall and spoke into the microphone on it. Activate cleaning mode, he said, and the ship started to clean itself. That's really cool, but I'm off to bed now, he said as he went to the resting area and went to sleep. 1 month later. It has been an entire month since he began his travel and his power has grown. He went from 50,000 to 90,000. It was much improvement in his eyes and he was proud of it. Now he was in the kitchen eating breakfast. After a large breakfast, he went to start training, but before he started, the spaceship's warning alarm went off. Warning: magnetic field approaching. Naruto quickly left the room and made it to the pilot room and buckled himself down. 10 minutes later, the spaceship started to go through the magnetic field and everything in the ship started to go haywire and the ride was extremely bumpy. I think I'm gonna throw up. Naruto said he spotted a bucket flying around. He grabbed it and threw up. The spaceship took an hour to get out of the magnetic field, but the ship needed repairs. Warning: damage level 50%. Ship repairs required. What is the closest planet to land on? Naruto asked. Planet Namek. Requiring confirmation for emergency landing on planet Namek. Confirm. Land on planet Namek for repairs. Naruto said. Setting course for Namek. Arrival time is 4 hours. The ship changed course and took off towards Namek. Naruto tried to use the training room but the gravity machine, but it was damaged. He just went to take a nap for the ride to Namek. 3 hours later he was woken up by the ship signaling that he landed on Namek. He got up and set the ship on repair mode. It would take 5 hours to repair everything, so he decided to leave the ship and explore. As soon as he was off the ship, he was surrounded by what he guessed were the Namekians. Hello. Naruto said. Who are you? Why are you here? A Namekian asked. I'm Naruto. I was exiled from planet Sadala to planet Earth for something I didn't do. My ship needed repairs and this was the closest planet I could land on. I'll only be here for a few hours. Naruto said. Why Earth? You do know that planet is deserted, right? It's basically destroyed due to the wars waged on it by the human race. The Namekian said. Yeah, I know, but I need somewhere to be alone. I was born with a tail and I transform into a giant ape at night sometimes and go on a rampage. So a planet with no living persons on it would be the best place for me to go. Naruto said. Are you willingly transforming into this ape? The Namekian asked. No, it just happened once when I was born. I had the tail cut off but it grew back. I'm going to train myself so that doesn't happen again. I have a feeling I was framed though. Naruto said. So you are a kid who is being punished for a crime he did not commit? The Namekian asked. Yeah, pretty much. Naruto said. Very well then. Follow me, I shall take you to our elder. He may have a solution to help you on Earth. The Namekian said. Are you sure about this, Kokuru? Another Namekian asked. Yes, I am. He did not have to answer any of these questions I asked him. Given the power I can feel from him, he could wipe us all out before we could blink. Now come with me. I'm sure our elder is expecting you by now. Kokuru said. The other Namekians flew off towards the elder while Naruto and Kokuru stood there. Are you coming, Naruto? Kokuru asked. Yeah, but I can't fly yet. Think you can carry me over there? Naruto asked. Sure. Now let's go. Kokuru said as Naruto climbed on his back and they flew off. It took them 10 minutes to reach the elder and he was outside waiting for them. You must be Naruto. I am Elder Suda. It is a pleasure to meet you. Suda said. No, the honor is all mine, Elder Suda. I've heard about the Namekians through stories from Saiyans, but to meet you in person is just awesome. Naruto said, causing the elder to chuckle. You are the third most respectable Saiyan I have met in my lifetime. The other two were named Cress and Wasabi. I had the honor of meeting them when they had to make an emergency landing here. Suda said. Those are my parents. Naruto said. Really? What happened to them? I haven't seen them in quite some time. Suda said. They both died. My mother was poisoned and my father sacrificed his life so his team could make it back to Sadala. Naruto said, looking down. I am sorry to hear that, Naruto. I had no idea. Now I understand you are heading to Earth and I know about your problem. I have something that will help you out on Earth. Suda said as 7 Namekians came forward with 7 huge orange orbs with a star numbered 1 to 7. What are these? Naruto asked. These are Dragon Balls. With all 7 of them gathered you can summon the dragon known as Piranga. He can grant you any 3 wishes. After you make your wish or wishes, the Dragon Balls scatter all over the planet waiting to be collected again. Now I will summon Piranga and use 1 wish for you. It's not much but it will help you survive. Suda said and Naruto nodded. The Namekians placed the Dragon Balls on the ground and Suda began to summon Piranga. I summon you, the Eternal Dragon. Come forth Piranga and grant my wish. Suda said and the Dragon Balls began to glow and a huge green dragon with red eyes appeared. I shall grant you any 3 wishes that are well within my power. Now speak your wishes. Piranga said. Piranga, I would like for you to restore the planet known as Earth. However, do not bring back the humans on the planet. Suda said. That wish is well within my power. Piranga said as his eyes glowed red for a few seconds before it stopped. Your wish has been granted. Now speak your second wish. Piranga said. Actually that is all I needed Piranga. I have no more wishes for today. Suda said. Very well. Piranga said and disappeared. After he was gone the Dragon Balls flew up in the air and spun around before shooting out in different directions. Why did you do that? Naruto asked. Because you would die in 2 years living on that planet the way it was before. The reason I didn't bring the humans back was a precaution, just in case you turn into that great ape again and go on a rampage. You will not be killing any humans. Now, was there anything specific that could have triggered your transformation the first time? Suda asked. Not really. King Borgos just said it was a normal cloudy night. He said that I was calm and looking up at the sky and then the full moon appeared. After that I changed. Naruto said. Then I would you change during the full moon. On Earth the full moon appears every 29 to 30 days, so I would avoid looking at it until you are ready to control your ape form. Suda said. Thanks for the heads up Elder Suda. I'll keep an eye out for the full moons. But if it's not too much, can I ask you for a favor? Naruto asked. What is the favor? Suda asked. Can you teach me how to fly? My ship won't be done for another 4 hours and I can only float in the air for a couple of seconds. Naruto said. I can teach you to fly. You already have the basics down so it shouldn't take long. Now come with me, we have training to do. Suda said as he walked away with Naruto to begin his flying lessons. He learned how to fly in about 2 hours since he already had the basic principles of it already. He spent another 2 hours flying around at different speeds and doing tricks in the air. He did this so he could get accustomed to different paces and sudden stops in flight. Thank you again for your help, Elder Suda. I won't forget this. Naruto said. Don't worry about it Naruto. Just grow strong and control that ape form. You do that and we're even. Suda said. I'll do that. See you later. Naruto said as he took off to the skies surrounded by a white glow leaving a trail behind. He made it to his spaceship and it was done being repaired. He entered and went straight to the pilot room. Set course for planet Earth. Naruto said and the ship took off towards Earth. After the ship reached space he got up and went to the training room. I have 2 months left so I need to get started on my training. I'll start at 5x normal gravity and set it to increase every 3 hours. He said as he turned on the gravity. He began with his usual routine of 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups. He moved to doing 300 punches with each hand and 300 kicks with each leg. He created 6 small energy blasts and sent them flying around the room. He created another blast but this one was huge compared to the others and contained a lot more energy in it. He had to dodge these without getting hit. It was harder to do this because the gravity increased to 7x normal gravity, so the blast started moving faster and became heavier. He was doing good for the most part. He got little nicks and bruises here and there but nothing major. The gravity increased again and was up to 10x gravity. He could barely keep up with the blasts as they got too fast for him. He kept up the dodging but was hit by one blast then another and they just kept hitting him. After all 6 small blasts were done hitting him, he was bloody and cuts were all over his body. He looked up and saw the large blast coming straight towards him. "Aw crap, I forgot about that one," he said as he looked at the gravity machine. It said 10x gravity and he knew this blast was stronger than what he put out. If he had to guess, the amount of power coming at him had a level of 500,000, way more than what he was at. "Aw crap, if this doesn't kill me, I hope I can make it to the rejuvenation tank," he thought as he placed his hands out in front of him and caught the blast, trying to slow it down. The blast was pushing him back and he was barely holding on to it, but he refused to give up. He started to walk forward trying to move the blast, but every step he took, he was moved back again. He was losing ground quickly and he could feel his body was giving out. "Come on Naruto, you can do this. This blast is nothing to you," he thought to himself. He let out one final yell and the energy blast exploded, sending him flying into the wall. The ship didn't take any damage because the walls could absorb the blast and convert that energy into power for the ship. He fell to the ground and his body was completely covered in cuts and bruises. "Oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I can already hear Caulifla calling me an idiot." Kale wouldn't say it out loud, but I know she would agree with Caulifla in her head, he thought as he crawled over to the gravity chamber and shut it off. "Time for the rejuvenation tank," he said as he stood up. He made it to the rejuvenation tank and set it to heal him for 3 hours. Naruto didn't realize it, but what he just did gave him a significant power boost. There was only one Saiyan stronger than him. That was King Borgos. But Naruto knew he would usurp him before this trip to Earth was over. "I'll test my power level again after dinner and then at the end of this trip when I land," he thought. 3 hours later he was out of the rejuvenation tank and was currently eating dinner. He was looking out the window just staring into space when he thought he saw a streak of white light going in the opposite direction. He brushed it off as a comet ping. If he looked closer he would have noticed 2 figures traveling inside of that light. "My first comet sighting, it's pretty cool," he thought as he finished eating. "I'll test my power level before I head to bed," he said as he activated the cleaning mode. He went to the training room and turned on the scouter the scientists built into the room. "Alright, here we go," he said as he began to power up. He noticed the scouter shoot past 90,000 and he could feel he had a lot more power in him. He continued to power up. This kept going on until he couldn't go anymore. He looked at the scouter and was surprised by the results. His power level jumped from 90,000 to 200,000. I guess when a Saiyan takes significant damage they grow a lot. I don't want to have to train to literally kill myself to get power all the time. I'll have to start actually fighting soon. But for now, I guess I'll have to settle for this harsh training," Naruto said as he left and went to bed. 2 months later. 2 months went by and Naruto finally landed on Earth. He hasn't tested his power level yet, but he knows he is stronger than all of the Saiyans on planet Sadala, even King Borgos. "Finally," he said as he looked out the window of the spaceship. He exited and looked around at how amazing Earth was. He landed in the middle of a forest and was amazed at how similar it looked to Sadala. He figured the buildings he could see in the distance were from the humans that built them. "I'll look around and see what I can find," he said and flew around the area he was at. He didn't find much, but he found a lot of animals running around. He went further away and found a city with huge buildings. He saw some houses and his favorite was the food district. "I'll use that after I run out of food on the ship," he said and flew back to his ship. He arrived at the ship and when he walked inside he heard some kind of beeping noise. He went to the pilot area and a button was flashing on the control panel. He pressed the button and Kale and Caulifla appeared on the screen. "Hey Naruto, are you there? Dr. Venus said we could talk to you," Caulifla said. "Is this a live video?" he asked himself. "Of course it is, you doofus. What the hell did you think it was?" Caulifla said. "Okay, so it is a live video. How are you able to talk to me?" I'm literally on a different planet right now. He said. Oh, Dr. Venus set this up before you got in the spaceship. He said it's only a one-time thing. I guess he knew Kale would miss you, so he built in this little feature himself. I couldn't let Kale do it alone because she would get emotional, so I decided to join her. Caulifla said. That's not true, Caulifla. You said you couldn't wait to talk to Naruto. We miss you, Naruto. Are you doing okay? Did you make it to Earth? Kale asked. I knew Caulifla would miss me. But to answer your questions, yes, I'm okay and I did make it to Earth. I only had one problem. That was when I went through a magnetic field and the ship needed to repair itself a month into the trip, so I stopped on planet Namek. Naruto said. Did you meet the Namekians, Naruto? I heard they are quite nice and hospitable. Dr. Venus said. Actually, I did. I met the elder and he knew my parents from when they also had to make an emergency landing there. He used something called Dragon Balls to restore the Earth for me, but didn't bring back the humans just in case I transformed into the ape again. He also taught me how to fly. Naruto said. We learned to fly the week after you left. We've also gotten much stronger. I bet I could beat you now, Naruto. Kale got stronger too. She's almost my equal. Caulifla said. That is true, Naruto. Caulifla has a power level of 470,000 and Kale has a power level of 400,000. Dr. Venus said. That's great, but I'm way stronger than both of them. However, Kale is a lot stronger than that. She should be slightly stronger than Caulifla by now. I could always sense she was holding back her true power. So Kale, can you power up for me and not hold back this time? Naruto asked. Kale was hesitant but nodded. Dr. Venus turned on the scouter and Kale powered up. She was done and the scouter read she had a power level of 500,000. I never knew Kale was this strong. Why hasn't she ever shown this before? Dr. Venus asked. Because Kale is shy and timid. She thought Caulifla would be upset with her for being stronger. But Caulifla, being a prodigy, can easily catch up to Kale. That would drive her to train harder and grow stronger. Naruto said. Yeah, whatever. So how strong are you now, Naruto? Caulifla asked. Yes, I'm also curious. You left here quite strong for your age. I can only imagine how strong you've become. Dr. Venus said. I actually don't know. The last time I checked was after I left planet Namek 2 months ago after a harsh training and recovery. I was at 200,000 back then and I haven't checked since. I wanted to train as much as possible and not worry about my power level until I landed. I was actually about to check it out until I answered your call. Naruto said. Well, what are you waiting for? Do the test for us already. Caulifla said. Yes, go ahead, Naruto. I'm also curious about how strong you are now. King Borgo said as he entered the room. Naruto, when you turn on the scouter, it should automatically show up on the screen for us to see. If it doesn't, there is a green button you can press so it will show up. Dr. Venus said. Naruto turned on the scouter and pressed the green button and it popped up on the screen for them to see. Alright, are you all ready? He asked. Yes, now hurry up, we don't have all damn day. Caulifla yelled. Alright, sheesh. Naruto said and began to power up. True to his word, he was indeed stronger than Kale and Caulifla. What got them all in shock was that his power level eventually reached the level of King Borgo's and it kept going. He finally stopped and his power level was at 1 million. What the hell kind of training did you do, Naruto? Caulifla asked. I just did a lot of kicks, punches, push-ups, sit-ups, dodging energy blasts and key manipulation exercises. He said. What he didn't tell them was that after every training exercise he was pretty much dead and had to crawl to the rejuvenation tank. Despite him having a power level of 1 million, he felt that he had a lot more power in his body he could have let out but didn't want to. Well, I guess I'm in competition to be the strongest Saiyan alive. Borgos said. It appears so, my liege. I thought for sure Kale would be the one to usurp you first. But Naruto reaching 1 million means I was wrong. I guess he will be the first person to surp you in a few years. Venus said. I did too, but we never took into account what Naruto's growth rate would be. Research shows kids born with low power levels less than average never amount to much of a fighter. However, I understand we are short on time, so I'll be brief. Naruto, I have been looking down into the crime you were framed for. We have a potential suspect, but he covered his tracks really well. Bargos said. It was Taro, I know it was. So does Kale and Caulifla, I told them before I left. When you find any clues, they will lead back to him. I told Caulifla not to do anything, but given from the look on her face, I know she did the complete opposite. So Kale, what did she do? Naruto asked as Caulifla looked away with a guilty look on her face. She went to Taro's house and tried to kill him. Kale said. He got one of my best friends exiled. I'm not going to stand around and do nothing. Caulifla said. It's okay, Caulifla. But now he might go on the run, most likely he'll come looking for me. I'll be ready for him. Naruto said. All of a sudden a beeping noise was heard. Well, that's the timer we had on this video chat. We wish you best, Naruto. Venus said. You better take care of yourself or next time I see you, I'll kick your. Caulifla said. Bye, Naruto. Take care of yourself over there. Kale said. I will. Caulifla, stay out of trouble, I mean it this time. We'll see each other again, I'm sure of it. Naruto said as the screen cuts off. He just sighs. It was nice to see them again. But I can't be down. I need to train just in case. But first, I need to see how strong I really am. He said as he reset the scouter and powered up again. This time he was letting all of it out. During him powering up, he didn't notice, but his eyes flickered green, then black, and his hair would turn gold before turning black again. He finished powering up and checked the scouter to see what his actual power level was. His new power level was at 6 million. Whoa, I guess training in 20x gravity paid off more than I thought. But what was that extra boost I was feeling? It wasn't the barrier in power I broke through back home, it felt like something that was just out of reach from me. I'll figure it out later, I need to go to sleep to train in the morning. He said as he left to eat and get some sleep. Unbeknownst to him, he was being watched by one of the figures in what he thought was a comet. Interesting. I've never seen a Saiyan with a tail before. I'll keep an eye on him. I may just train him myself. Of course, I would have to keep it a secret from Lord Champa. The figure said as she turned off her staff. 4 years have gone by and Naruto is now 11 years old. Over the course of 4 years, he has battled a lot of enemies that were sent to Earth by someone unknown. Due to the constant fighting he went through, he was able to reach that power that he felt after he powered up when he finished talking to Kale and Caulifla. He decided to call it Super Saiyan. In his mind, he was the first person to do it. But in another universe, there were already 3 Saiyans who have already gone Super Saiyan and have taken it to another level. Over the years, he has grown quite a bit. He now stood at 5 feet 2, which was tall for his age. His hair hasn't changed, but he did put on some muscle. He was thinking about going out to find him a teacher to train him properly when he felt a power level arrive at his location. He stood up and watched as a ship landed in front of him and somebody walked out. Who are you? He asked. I'm the one responsible for sending troops to this planet. They never returned, so I decided to come check out what's going on myself. The stranger answered as he had 2 guards with him. What's your name? Naruto asked. Customarily you should give your name first, but I'll answer your question. My name is Frost and I am what you may call a space pirate. Frost said. Naruto looked Frost over and took in his appearance. Frost has blue skin, his torso and head are pale blue in color. He has really thin lips that if his mouth was closed it looked as if he didn't have any. He has round smooth ears, and wears guards on his shoulders and on each hip. He wore some boots and black pants, but Naruto thought he wasn't wearing anything on his lower body. I'm Naruto. Now why are you so interested in Earth? He asked. I'm really not interested in the planet. I just want to sell it so I can make some money. However, I have a proposition for you. Frost said. What would that be? Naruto asked. How would you like to join me? You can have anything you would like in the universe and you can become my second in command. Frost said. I'll have to pee on that offer. 1. I'm not a criminal, I would rather turn you in. 2. I already have everything I want. Lastly, I will never join somebody that is weaker than me. Naruto said. Weaker than you. Ha ha ha, do not make me laugh, you monkey. I am the strongest in the universe. There is nobody stronger than me. I have conquered many planets by myself. I have won countless wars across the galaxy. I have no equal, everyone else is below me. Now you will join me or will I have to use force? Frost asked. I won't be joining you, so just get back on your ship and leave. I won't tell you again. Naruto said. Very well. Don't say I didn't warn you. Kill him. Frost said. His 2 guards didn't respond, they just both flew at Naruto using their top speed. Naruto blocked a punch and a kick from them and threw them both away. Alien and Namel, if you do not finish him off, I'll kill you both myself. He is just a child, you should have killed him by now. Frost said. Sorry Lord Frost, we're on it. Alien said he is a blue-skinned humanoid with silky long black hair. He wore blue battle armor with brown shoulder pads, with a black long-sleeved and short tights covering the spandex underneath. Yeah, we will be done with this runt in no time. Namel said he looked exactly like a human with short blonde hair that was in a curly afro and wore the same battle armor as Alien. Then hurry up and kill him. Frost said. They flew at Naruto again and started throwing punches and kicks at Naruto, who simply dodged or blocked them. He caught both of their fists in front of him like it was nothing. You guys should have listened to me when I said leave the planet. He said. Alien and Namel quickly pulled their arms back and fired 2 huge energy blasts at Naruto from point-blank range. He didn't even bother to move out of the way, he simply stood there and let the attacks hit him. Told you we could handle it, boss. Alien said. Yeah, we aren't your personal guards for nothing. Namel said. I suppose you two are right. To think he actually said he was stronger than me. What a pity, he would have been a fine addition to the troops. Oh well, the planet is secured, let's go back and tell our buyer the planet is ready. Frost said as he walked away with Alien and Namel behind him. As soon as they turned around, an energy blast came from the smoke, hitting Namel from behind, going straight through his chest, killing him instantly. Frost and Alien turned around and saw Naruto standing there with his hands stretched outward. You actually thought you killed me. Those attacks did nothing, Naruto said, standing there without a single scratch on him. Alien, kill him now. I'll east you this time. Frost said. All right, boss. Alien said before he could move, and energy took his head off of his shoulders. How are you doing this? There's no way a kid like you can be stronger than them. Frost said. Don't worry about it. Besides, your backup has just arrived. Naruto said. Backup? What backup? Frost asked. He only brought 2 men with him. Naruto simply pointed up. Frost looked up and saw a spaceship landing. That's enough, Frost, I can handle him. You have your money now. The man said, stepping out of the spaceship. Very well, I guess my job is done here. Although I was hoping to fight him for a bit. Frost said as he walked to his spaceship and flew off. Taro, I take it your little scheme was discovered and you had to run away from planet Sadala. Such a pity, an elite such as yourself reduced to the life of crime. Naruto said. Shut up. If it wasn't for those damn girls I wouldn't have been caught. I couldn't kill them since they are always together and watching each other back. So now I have to settle for killing you. Something that should have happened after you were born. You may have usurped me before you left, but I am almost on par with Borgos. Years of brutal training and years of near-death situations, I am going to rid the world of your existence. Taro said as he began to power up. Naruto just stood there and waited for him to finish. This is all you have to offer. I usurped King Borgos when I was 8. My power is higher than anybody you can think of right now. The only Saiyans close to me are Kale and Caulifla. Naruto said as Taro finished powering up. Big talk for somebody who hasn't even made a move. Taro said as he prepared to attack. Use that scouter of yours to read my power level. I'm even suppressing a great deal of strength. You're almost as strong as the king and he was only at 6 million. You should just go back home and take your punishment. Naruto said. Taro didn't respond. He simply flew at his max speed and punched Naruto in his face. To his shock, Naruto didn't even budge. He simply moved Taro's hand from his face and punched him in the gut, dropping him to his knees. Taro started coughing up blood and struggled to get to his feet. How is he so strong? I'm able to take on Bargos, this should be easy. Taro thought as he activated his scouter to get a read on Naruto's power level. He was scared from the results and Naruto saw the look on his face. So what did your scouter tell you? He asked. 8 million. But how? You were only born with a power level of 25. Taro said. Just because I was born weak doesn't mean I will stay weak. I have been training my off for the past 4 years. 8 million doesn't even come close to my actual power. I told you before you are way out of your league. Leave now and we won't have any problems. This planet is not for sale, so that transaction you did with Frost was for nothing. Now leave, before I kill you. Naruto said. I'm not leaving. I'll kill you just like I killed your mother. Taro said and immediately regretted his decision to say that. Naruto appeared in front of him and punched him in the gut again, but this time he broke a few ribs. He kicked Taro in the chin, sending him up in the air where he flew up and kicked him back down to the ground. He began shooting multiple ki blasts at Taro and he could hear him yell out in pain from the continuous blasts. I always had a feeling she was killed by one of her own. If a female Saiyan is pregnant, they are pulled from missions. I guess you got the poison from your buddy Frost. Let me guess, she rejected you and started to date my father. By the look on your face, I guess I'm right. Naruto said. Cress ruined my life. I was always bigger, faster and stronger than him. When we were little I would always outdo at him everything, yet people liked him more. Even our own parents cared for him more. That's right, little boy, I'm your uncle. So what are you gonna do now? I'm the last family member you have left. Taro said. I don't have a family. I'll make my own family once I get older. I could care less that you're my uncle. You killed my mother. You tried to kill me and you even tried to kill my best friends. I'm not some naive little orphan who would cry about having a surviving family member. This is way beyond having a family bond can save you from. Before your death, I'll show you something that I've discovered through my hard work and desire to get stronger. Naruto said. He began to power up and the scouter on Taro's face exploded once his power level increased to 30 million. He powered up some more and with final push he transformed into his Super Saiyan transformation. What is that? Taro asked scared. This is what I like to call Super Saiyan. If I had to guess, in this form I'm 50 times stronger than I usually am. My base power level at its fullest is 30 million. Like I told you before, you are way out of your league. I could have killed Frost but you showed up. This is your final day alive. I hope you enjoyed every day of your life as much as possible. Farewell, uncle. Naruto said, and with those final words he sent a blast at Taro, evaporating him from existence. He sighed and powered down. After he powered down he immediately was on guard. He could feel a shift in the wind telling him somebody just came to Earth. He looked around and saw nothing, but he looked up to the sky. He thought somebody was watching from above him in the sky, so he looked up but didn't see anything. He narrowed his eyes and shot an energy blast in the direction he felt whoever it was. He didn't hit anything, but he knew somebody was there. I know somebody is there. I can't sense them, but I know whoever it is was just there. he said as he walked away from the area and went to fly around and grab some food. In space, two figures were floating in space watching Naruto fly around. They felt a tremendous power spike and they immediately went to investigate. They didn't see the transformation, but one knew the power came from him. Well, what do you think? One asked. I can see why you've taken an interest in him. Although I can't believe he was able to sense our energy. It should be impossible for any mortal to sense us if they haven't been trained to do so, Vados. The other said. Yes, although I don't think he'll want to replace Champa. I have a feeling with his incredible growth rate in a few years he may become stronger than some gods of destruction. But he did not sense our energy, Fua. He is somehow more in tune with nature, almost to the point of an actual animal. He's almost caught me quite a few times already. But he isn't ready to meet me just yet. Vados said. What is he? I've never seen anyone like him before. His tail is quite unusual. Fua said. I believe he is a Saiyan from planet Sadala. But I've never seen a Saiyan with a tail before. Vados said. Yes, I have never heard of a Saiyan having a tail either. But to think he became this strong on his own is an amazing accomplishment in itself. No one to train him properly, but from what you've told me he was a near perfect form. I would suggest you just watch him from your staff to not risk getting caught, or simply watch him from up here where he can't see you. But I would limit it to around the times you have meetings with the other angels so Champa doesn't get suspicious. Fua said. I will watch from here, but in a few years I will let myself be known to him and offer him the chance to learn under me. His potential is limitless and I would love to have him as a student. He's a nice kid. It sucks that he was exiled for something he didn't do. But I see he has taken care of the person who framed him. Vados said as she stared down at the earth. If I didn't know better, Vados, I would say from you watching him you've gained some type of motherly affection towards the boy. Fua said. Perhaps, but I am more interested in training him than becoming a mother. Vados said. If you say so, but I suggest we head back to Champa. He'll start to get suspicious if we aren't back soon. Fua said. You're right, let's go. Vados said and they disappeared from sight. With Naruto. Naruto was in the middle of eating enough food that could feed an entire village when he felt an energy spike from up above. He looked up and saw an attack coming straight for the earth. That thing has enough power to blow up the planet. Who the hell did this? He said. He stopped eating and flew towards the blast and countered it, easily sending it back to space. Oh, I see you weren't lying. You are a strong one. I can see why all of my men failed and Taro was taken out so easily. Are you sure you don't want to join me? Frost asked as he landed on the ground. Yes, I'm sure. You're actually at the top of my to kill list. You gave Taro the poison to kill my mother. I've already dealt with him, now you're next. Naruto said, and before Frost could react, Naruto kicked him away and gave chase. I didn't even see him move. Frost thought as he was able to gather himself in the air. He looked down and Naruto was nowhere to be seen. Frost was about to speak before Naruto did. I'm behind you, Naruto said, and Frost turned around only to be punched in his face and blasted back to the ground. As soon as he hit the ground he flew back up at Naruto and began trading punches and kicks. You're actually not bad. I guess I'll have to step it up a notch. Frost said as he suddenly disappeared and kneed Naruto in the gut. He used his tail to wrap around Naruto's neck and kept punching Naruto in the stomach. He powered up some more and the punches started to get faster and stronger. If Frost wasn't so caught up in causing pain to Naruto, he would have noticed the ki blast in Naruto's hand. Naruto simply lifted his hand and shot the blast at Frost's tail and cut it in half. He then kicked Frost away to the ground and sent a ki blast at him, causing an explosion. Frost rose out of the ground in pain, covered in cuts, bleeding a lot. On top of that, half of his tail was missing. My tail. Do you realize what you've just done? How dare you make a fool out of me? I am Frost, the strongest being in the universe, and I will not be made a fool of by some kid. Frost said and began to power up. Frost started to let out an enormous amount of power and Naruto noticed his body starting to form cracks on it. I guess he's transforming. Given the amount of power I'm feeling from him, I can still take him in my base form. Naruto thought as Frost finished powering up. Naruto looked at this new form and he couldn't really see a difference in power, but he knew something changed. In this form, Frost had a reformed mouth, elongated head, spikes coming from his back, and his tail regrew. You should be honored. I've never shown this transformation before. You will be the first and last person to see it. But don't worry, I'll make sure to give you a good show. Frost said as he suddenly vanished. He's fast. Naruto thought as he blocked a punch from Frost. Frost wasted no time in moving again to start his attack. He vanished again and this time planted his fist in Naruto's gut. He grabbed him by the face and blasted him away with a point-blank ki blast. Before Naruto could correct himself, Frost was right in his face and kicked him away to the side before sending a barrage of ki blasts at him, and all of them made contact, causing a large explosion. I guess this form was too much for him. I told that boy I would not be made to look like a fool. He may have defeated Taro, but Taro is nowhere close to my level. Although he was strong enough to push me this far, he would make a great addition to my troops. Frost said, but a voice behind him sent chills down his spine. Your head would make a great trophy on my wall. Naruto said as he kicked him away. Frost managed to get himself together and looked up to see Naruto standing there without a scratch on him. How are you not hurt? I know for a fact that I should have done some damage to you. Frost said. Your little transformation has a huge flaw to it. You may have gained a ton of speed, but you lack power. Your strength hasn't increased that much and neither has your power level. You prey on those weaker than you, so you've never had an actual test to see how strong you really are. I can guarantee that you don't even train since you only fight people who are weaker than you. I'm the strongest Saiyan alive in our universe. I'm not why to say there's nobody stronger than me. I know there are people out there stronger than me. Naruto said. Are you done? I can careless about your little speech. It means absolutely nothing to me. I can show you why I am the strongest in the universe. Frost said and vanished. Naruto wasn't worried in the slightest. He knew Frost would try to attack from behind. So as soon he vanished, Naruto simply ducked and elbowed him in his gut, making spit fly out of mouth. Naruto didn't wait for him to recover, he grabbed him by the neck and slammed him to the ground. Frost stood up immediately, but he was kicked in the air by Naruto, who flew up after him and started landing punches on his stomach and face. Naruto blurred out of Frost's vision, and the next thing Frost knew, he was kicked in the back of his head and sent flying to the ground. Naruto charged up ki blasts and sent them all towards Frost, who braved himself for the explosion. A few seconds went by and Frost didn't feel anything, so he spoke up. It seems your aim is a little off. All of those attacks and none of them hit the intended target. Frost said he was unaware of the blasts that were surrounding him. No, I was just waiting for you to lower your guard. Naruto said as he simply closed his fist. Every blast he threw closed in on Frost and exploded on contact. He's hurting. I know he is. His power level dropped drastically just now. Naruto thought. It took some time for the smoke to clear and Frost was on the ground out cold in his first form. Naruto walked up to him ready to go for the kill when 10 people who, if he had to guess, were Frost's henchmen. Get back or we'll kill you. One of them said, and they all got ready to attack. Take him and leave. I've already proven my point that I can beat him. When he wakes up, tell him that I wasn't even trying. Naruto said. You'll regret the day he sees you again. One of them said as they flew off. I'm not worried about him. He said as he walked towards Taro's spaceship. He walked around his ship and it was similar to his. The only difference was he found some software that would allow multiple video calls. He guessed it was developed after he was exiled. He decided to take it and use it in his own spaceship. I can use this to call Dr. Benas and check up on Kale and Caulifla. He thought as he entered the pilot room of his ship. He installed the update, which didn't take as long as he thought it would, and he called Dr. Benas. Hello. A female voice said that he didn't recognize. Who are you? He asked. I'm Dr. Prika. Who are you? She asked. I'm Naruto. Is Dr. Benas there? He asked. I'm sorry, but Dr. Benas was killed by Taro 3 years ago. Is there anything I can help you with? Dr. Prika asked, and Naruto just stared at the screen in silence for a few minutes. Yeah, Kale and Caulifla around. I was calling to talk to them. Naruto said, and Dr. Prika just sighed. Sadly, no. After Dr. Benas was murdered, they stopped coming by. Nobody has seen them, but rumors say Caulifla ran off to join some kind of local gang and that she took Kale with her. Prika said. What the hell is going on? Is King Borgos available? He asked. No, he is busy at the palace. Taro has gone rogue and he is trying to track him down as well as Kale and Caulifla. Can I give him a message? Prika asked. That's fine, Dr. Prika. I can hear this out myself. Borgos said as he walked in the room. Of course, my liege, she said as she backed away from the screen. So Naruto, what can I do for you? Borgos asked. Stop trying to find Taro, Kale and Caulifla. Naruto said bluntly. Who are you to order our king around, little boy? Prika asked. The same little boy that can easily defeat him. If you don't believe me, check my file Dr. Benas had on me and read my last recorded power level. Naruto said. Prika grabbed his file and decided to humor him. She dropped the file after reading who he was and what his power level was. 1 million, your last recorded power level was 1 million. I don't believe it. Prika said. I didn't even power up to my fullest. At that time, my actual power level was 6 million. Naruto said. I'm sorry if I offended you, but the king is not to be disrespected. Are you the same Naruto who was born with a tail? She asked, and he nodded. I would like to apologize again. Dr. Benas has held you in his highest regards. He spoke very highly of you. I am really sorry. Prika said. It's okay, it doesn't bother me. You were doing what anybody in your shoes would do. Naruto said. Now Naruto, why should I call off my search? Borgos asked. Well, you won't find Kale or Caulifla. They won't allow you to. Caulifla's brother may know where she is, but if he hasn't come running to you, she isn't in any kind of danger. The same goes for Kale. As for Taro, I just killed him like 2 hours ago. He tracked me down to earth and was easily beaten. Naruto said. Very well, but I'll need to see his body for proof. Borgos said, and Naruto only smiled sheepishly at him, rubbing the back of his head. What did you do, Naruto? Borgos asked. Well, he kind of admitted that he was the one who poisoned and killed my mother. I kind of destroyed his entire body. Naruto said. Fine, I'll just have to take your word on this. Anything else you need? Borgos asked. Oh yeah, did you know Taro was my uncle on my father's side? He asked, surprising Borgos. How is he your uncle? Borgos asked. Oh come on, I'm 11 and I even know how. Do me and Dr. Prika need to have the talk with you, King Borgos? Naruto asked, mockingly, causing Dr. Prika to giggle at this. While Borgos caught a dangerous eye twitch. I know how smart. I mean how, as in your grandparents are on file for only having one child. A few years after returning from a 2-year-long mission. Oh shit. Borgos said. What is it, my liege? Prika asked. After a Saiyan takes a year-long mission or longer, they have a week to themselves before reporting in. His grandmother must have gotten pregnant during that mission and never returned home, like protocol states you should if you are severely injured or become pregnant. She must have had Taro during the mission and never reported it. 2 years after she returned, your father was born. She claimed to find Taro on the streets and took him in. I guess this whole time he was his blood brother. Borgos said. Yeah, he was trying to buy Earth, but unfortunately, his transaction was for nothing. Naruto said. I'll see you later, Naruto. I'll send this video address to Renzo so he can give it to Caulifla so they can speak to you. Borgo said and left the room. It was nice meeting you, Dr. Prika. Naruto said. Likewise, Naruto. Dr. Prika said and ended the call. As soon as the call ended, Naruto started to cry. He was sad that Dr. Venus had been murdered. He didn't even realize he transformed into his Super Saiyan state. He felt something snap inside of him and let out an enormous amount of power greater than his Super Saiyan state. The power output was so great that he caused earthquakes all over the earth and animals were running around scared. He powered up until he felt a barrier and pushed through it. His power skyrocketed and he felt an extreme amount of hate flowing through him. His hair stood up more than it did as a regular Super Saiyan. He gained muscle M and he had lightning crackling around his body. He could feel the power increase, but he didn't keep it long. He powered down and returned outside. Somebody was here again, but he couldn't sense whoever it was. I know you're there. Come out now or I'll kill you. He said and nobody came out. Fine, I guess I'll have to kill you then. He said and sent a huge ki blast in the direction of whoever was there. Somebody was behind there but got away just before the blast hit. Damn it, whoever it was got away. He said as he walked to the area. He looked around and found nothing but some clothes on the ground that looked to be his size with a note attached to them. Enjoy the clothes, Naruto. We'll be meeting each other soon. V. Is what the note said. Who the hell is watching me? He asked. In space. Up in space we see Vados looking into her staff at Naruto as he read the note she left on the clothes. Him being in tune with nature is going to cause me to get caught. I can't afford to be seen right now, but that power increase is not natural. He advances in power extremely fast for someone his age. The two Saiyan girls don't even come close to his growth rate. I wonder how strong he'll be in a few more years. That's when I'll introduce myself to him and offer him the chance to train under me. She said and left to return to Champa. With Naruto, he was looking at the clothes and he honestly liked them. Whoever was watching him had good taste in clothes. He replaced his Saiyan armor with the clothes he just got and he liked the way they looked on him. He now wore a black short-sleeved shirt that stuck to his upper body. Black pants with black kung fu shoes and blue stockings. He also wore a blue obi tied around his waist and blue armbands. This is so cool. I need to thank whoever V is for these clothes. He said to himself. He looked up at the sky and noticed it was getting dark. He was going to lay outside when the ship started to beep. He got up and went inside for the rest of the day. The alarm was to let him know when a full moon was approaching. He wasn't ready to use his ape form yet, so he would just stay in the ship for 2 days straight and just train and eat. I need to work on my transformations. I can transform, but it takes too much time and the strain on my body is a pain to deal with. I'll start training again with the gravity machine instead of regular training in normal gravity. He said he turned Super Saiyan and began to train in 30x gravity. 6 months later, Naruto was flying around Earth in his Super Saiyan transformation going to get something to eat when the smell of cooked food caught his attention. He noticed it was at one of the fancy restaurants he would go to every once in a while. He landed and decided to walk around with his power suppressed. It was difficult to do while in his Super Saiyan form, but he got it low enough to that of one of the stronger animals on the planet. He arrived at the restaurant and saw 3 people he's never seen before. Lord Champa, do you think it's wise to spend so much time here? Vados asked. I agree with Vados, Lord Champa. We don't know who or what could be on this planet. Fua said. Vados. Is that strange-looking lady the person who left me these clothes? Naruto thought. Oh, calm down, this planet has nobody on it. I thought it was destroyed due to wars, but apparently I was wrong. Besides, there's nobody that can take us on. I'm the god of destruction. Fua is the supreme Kai and Vados, you are my angel and guide. Honestly, nothing will happen while we are here. My senses are on full alert. If anything tries to sneak up on us, I will know. Champa said, and Naruto decided to speak up after that statement since he was already caught. Who are you? He asked. H. Champa screamed and jumped to the ceiling. Isn't this what we were trying to avoid? Fu-Ah whispered to Vados. Yes, but apparently Lord Champa and his appetite had better ideas. Vados said. Well, what do we do now? Should we introduce ourselves? Fu-Ah asked. We might as well. Vados said. I already know your names. You're Vados. He's Fu-Ah, and the fat purple cat clinging to the ceiling is Champa. Naruto said. Who are you calling fat? Champa asked in a dangerous voice. You. I mean, look at you. Your stomach looks like it's about to destroy your pants. Seriously, do you even work out? Naruto asked. You do realize I can kill you, right? Champa asked. May, you're not the first person to threaten to kill me. But given vibes I'm feeling from Vados, she won't let you kill me. Thanks for the clothes, by the way. Naruto said. You're welcome, Naruto. Vados said. How do you know my name? I haven't told you it yet. Naruto said, then he thought about it. Wait, was it you three who have been watching me? Naruto asked. Well, no, not all of us. It was mainly Vados. I came along once, and that was after you killed that guy Taro, I believe his name was. Fu-Ah said. Yes, I have to say, quite impressive for you to almost discover me being here. I know you can't detect my energy, so I'm guessing you use other methods. Vados said. Vados, if he can't detect our energy, then how did he almost discover you and find us? Champa asked, still clinging to the ceiling. Are you ever going to come down from there? I mean, honestly, a god of destruction getting scared by an 11-year-old, that is a bad look on your image, man. But to answer your question, I'm more in tune with nature, most likely because of my tail. Due to that, I can sense the slightest change in the wind if it's unnatural. So I always knew somebody was watching me. I just had a hard time finding out where. As for me finding you today, I simply smelled the food you were cooking. Naruto said. I'm impressed by your growth, Naruto. However, I do not feel the same energy from you that I've felt before. Perhaps you have strength that comes out at a certain period of time. One more thing, I thought you had black hair and black eyes, not blonde hair and green eyes. What happened to you? Vados asked. It's something called hair dye and eye contacts. I think I look good like this. Naruto said, lying. He didn't want anybody to know about the Super Saiyan transformations yet. Okay, that's good and all, but can we eat now? I'm starving and all this meat looks delicious. Champa said, finally coming down from the ceiling. Aren't you a bit overweight? Perhaps you should start with a nice salad. Naruto said. I'll have you know I am one of the strongest gods of destruction. My weight does not affect the way I fight. There are only 3 gods stronger than me. Do not tell them I said that, Vados. Champa said. I would never do something like that, Lord Champa. That would be disrespectful towards you. Vados said unconvincingly. Yeah, sure you won't. Champa said. You said you're one of the strongest gods of destruction. How many are there? Naruto asked. That will be known to you at a later date, Naruto. Right now you are not ready for that kind of information. I would suggest you focus on training and getting your skills better. You do that, we might meet again in the future. However, we must be going. We have a meeting with the other gods and angels. Vados said as she packed up their food and they all teleported away. What, no goodbye? He asked out loud, and then he looked at the mess they made. They didn't even clean up after themselves. I know this restaurant isn't mine, but at least have the courtesy to clean up after yourself. He said and began cleaning up. In space. He's a good kid now that I've met him face to face. Fu-Ah said. Although he called me fat more than once, I can agree. I can feel the power radiating from him, and it's a lot. I've been watching over this universe for a while, and outside of us there are only 3 people stronger than him. The famous in of our universe. That other Saiyan girl with the hidden power she has yet to access. Then that one weird-looking creature with blue skin and orange hair. Champa said. Actually, Lord Champa, the Saiyan girl despite her hidden powers is not stronger than Naruto. You aren't able to detect his power like I can. He has a lot more power than he lets on and much more that he has yet to access. He may become stronger than you if he keeps this up. Vados said. I agree with her, Lord Champa. I'll say from what I'm feeling from him, he'll usurp everyone including me but not you in about 3 years. He would need to train under Vados to usurp you. But she has never shown interest in training him, so your spot as the strongest is safe and secure. Fua said, hiding the fact that Vados wants to train Naruto. It doesn't matter if he ever became stronger than me. I'll still be his god of destruction, and if he steps out of line then I can destroy him with my destruction energy. Champa said as he started to eat. Not necessarily, Lord Champa. I believe that if somebody is strong enough they can overpower the destruction energy and render it useless. You shouldn't take him lightly, especially if he gets strong enough to challenge you. Vados said. She's right, Lord Champa, you shouldn't get why. That can be very dangerous. Isn't that why you lost the last fight against your brother? After all, you two should be pretty much equal in power, yet he always seems to beat you. I would suggest dropping the attitude and maybe you might be able to win against Beerus or at least tie with him. Fua said. Ah, he cheated during our fight, now drop it. I have some lovely delicacies to eat. Champa said, and nobody else spoke during the trip. With Naruto. He just finished cleaning the mess Vados, Champa and Fua made, and now he was eating his own food. Staying in Super Saiyan this long isn't draining my energy anymore. I'll stay like this for another month. After that then I can start staying in Super Saiyan 2 for the same amount of time. I have a feeling though that Super Saiyan 2 will take much more time. By then I'll start exploring more planets. Maybe try to make some friends, if not, oh well. He thought as he finished eating. Maybe after a few years I'll start looking for another level of Super Saiyan. If there is another level 1, no, it will be even more energy draining than the first 2. He said as he left the restaurant and went back to his spaceship. Alright, it's still pretty early, so it's time for me to start training. I'll work on my speed and dodging. He said and prepared to start his training. It was only 11 a.m. so he had plenty of time to train. He was about to start but a screen popped up in the training room signaling an incoming call. He powered down from Super Saiyan so he didn't have to answer any questions about his hair and eye color. Okay, who could be calling me? He said and answered the call, and on the screen it was Caulifla. Well, look who it is. It's Naruto. Long time no see, huh? So how've you been, buddy? Caulifla asked. I've been good, Caulifla. What's this I hear about you taking Kale away and joining some gang? Naruto asked. Oh, that it's nothing, we're taking good care of ourselves by any means and beating up anybody that messes with us. Caulifla said. So you've essentially become a criminal since I've been gone. I'm not surprised. Where is Kale? Naruto asked. You see about that. She's out handling some business for me. She'll be back later tonight. Don't worry, she's with some of our best people. Caulifla said. Caulifla, you dragged Kale into a gang and turned her into a criminal. What the hell were you thinking? Naruto asked. Hey, I'm the one taking care of her, not you. You left and everything went wrong. I'm protecting her from being taken advantage of. Caulifla said. Turning her into a criminal is not taking care of her. You know how timid she is. She isn't meant for that kind of lifestyle. I can't believe you would do something so stupid. He said. Stupid. You call me taking care of her, making sure she has food, water and clothes on her back stupid? She's perfect for this kind of business. Her shy and timid personality is how we bring in some of our stuff. Hell, the older girl said once she turns 16 that she can start going on missions with them. They're the ones bringing in the most money and goods. Caulifla said. That's because they are using their bodies to get what they want, Caulifla. They aren't robbing anybody like you send Kale out to do. They're having with people for what they want. Do you honestly want Kale to run around and act like them? Naruto asked. Does it really matter? You aren't here, you don't know what we've had to go through. I'm protecting Kale and it's a hell of a lot more than what you're doing. Let me guess you do nothing but train all day while not even trying to come back to Sadala. Did you know Kale would cry herself to sleep because you weren't here? Question mark. No you didn't. Were you there for her when her parents were killed? No you weren't, I was. You are not here so don't tell me how to deal with Kale. We are doing perfectly fine without you. I don't need you. Kale doesn't need you. We are fine. If you're going to criticize the way we are then you aren't our friend anymore. We have new friends now, basically a family and you aren't included. So what's it going to be? Are you going to show your support? Or are you not going to support us? Kale asked. I'm sorry Caulifla but I can't approve of that lifestyle and what it involves. I won't support this. I don't want you or Kale living that kind of life. Especially doing what the older girls are doing. Naruto said. Well too bad. It's not your decision on how we live our life. I guess you aren't our friend anymore. Me and Kale won't be needing these anymore then. Caulifla said and pulled out 2 bracelets that her and Kale wore. She destroyed them and blew the ashes into the camera. Goodbye Naruto. Have fun in space by yourself. She said and ended the call. Naruto looked down and pulled off one of his wristbands revealing his own bracelet. He took it off and threw in the garbage. Fine no more friends. I'll be strong on my own and make new friends. I don't need them, he thought as he powered up to Super Saiyan and turned the gravity on up to 50x gravity. He fell to the ground and started working out. With Caulifla. Caulifla was sitting in her room staring at the wall. She couldn't believe it. She just ended the friendship she had with one of her best friends. I know he meant well, but he has no right to judge us on how we live our lives. She thought. She didn't want to end her friendship with Naruto, but in her mind she was right. She was taking care of Kale and kept her from being taken advantage of. She knew Kale was strong. Kale was equal to her full power of 7 million, nobody would be able to hurt her. That brought up another problem. What am I going to tell Kale? Caulifla asked herself out loud. Tell me about what? Kale asked and Caulifla just sighed at this. She didn't have time to gather herself. We're no longer friends with Naruto. I called him and we had a huge argument. Caulifla said bluntly. Why did you two start to argue? Kale asked. Because he doesn't approve of our lifestyle now. He said I was stupid for dragging you into this kind life. He didn't agree with what we did and said he wouldn't support us. Caulifla said. But I thought we were supposed to do anything for our family. We've been with these people for 4 years, they're like family. Why wouldn't he approve? Kale asked. Because he said we're basically criminals now. He heard that the older girls wanted you to join them when you turned 16 and it set him off. Caulifla said. But we aren't criminals unless we get caught. That's what we were taught. He was the one that told us family sticks together and doesn't turn their backs on each other. Did he turn his back on us? Kale asked. Yeah he did Kale. I know you two have been friends since you were born, basically family, but he's turned his back to us. Caulifla said. What about our bracelets? Kale asked. I destroyed them and blew the ashes into the camera before hanging up on him. Caulifla said, pointing to the ashes scattered around the room. Do you think he got rid of his? Kale asked. I don't know Kale. Honestly I don't care. He made his decision and now we're no longer friends. Caulifla said. Can we at least call him one more time to see if he'll change his mind? Kale asked. Fine Kale, go ahead. Caulifla said. Kale nodded and went over to the monitor and tried calling Naruto. It didn't work and went straight to his voicemail. She tried a few more times and then a red X appeared on the screen. Naruto blocked them from calling him. He blocked us. Kale said, getting ready to cry. I'm sorry Kale, I really am. But I guess we're no longer going to hear from Naruto. Caulifla said as she gave Kale a rare hug. Does this mean he's our enemy now? Kale asked. I don't think so. Remember, he isn't allowed on Sadala, so he won't be in our way. The only way I could see him stopping us is if we travel to another planet that he's on and we're causing trouble. Other than that, we'll have no problem with him. Caulifla said and Kale nodded. Oh okay, but we need to get stronger just in case. I know for sure we're both no match for him. We never were, he would always hold back against us. Kale said. You're right Kale. Tomorrow we start training so hard that it will almost kill us. Let's get some sleep, it's late. Caulifla said it was midnight and they needed sleep. With Naruto, it's been 13 hours since he ended his friendship with Kale and Caulifla. He hasn't stopped training even for a second. He was currently in his Super Saiyan state training in 100x gravity. He powered up and sent out multiple blasts to fly around the room. He then sent out a fully powered blast and had it do the same. He powered down to his suppressed Super Saiyan state and began his dodge training. The gravity increased to 105x gravity, so the blasts gained speed and became heavier. He would dodge one and immediately have to dodge another. The interesting thing about this training was the blasts weren't going in a circle around the room. After he went over to the training programs, he saw that the ship could produce little machines that would float around the room and reflect the blasts at him. So now instead of them just going around in a predictable circle around the room, they were now in an unpredictable pattern and Naruto was getting scrapped a lot. But nothing major to cause him problems. This is getting difficult. The gravity keeps increasing and I haven't gone past 110x gravity yet. I need to turn it off or I'll get killed. He thought. As soon as he was about to turn the gravity off, he was hit in the back by a blast. He quickly recovered, but another hit him in the stomach, then the back again. This kept going on until the largest blast with his full power was coming right towards him. He was going to block it, but the gravity increased to 120 and he fell to the ground with the blast headed straight towards him. Ah crap. Was all he thought before the blast connected and exploded, sending him flying into the wall unconscious. He didn't exit his Super Saiyan state, but he was unconscious on the ground. Vados, who had come to Earth so Champa could have some more food, decided to see what Naruto was up to. She only caught the tail end of his training when he was hit by all of the blasts. Given the amount of power and speed behind those attacks, especially due to the gravity being so high, he's lucky to only be unconscious. He should be dead right now, she said as she teleported into the room and deactivated the gravity machine. I'll place him in his healing tank before I go, she said as she picked him up and walked to his healing area. She placed him in the tank and set it to heal him for 12 hours. He should be fine by then. I'll head back to Lord Champa before he gets angry and starts randomly destroying planets again, she thought, and teleported away from Earth back to Champa's planet. Before she left, she made him some more clothes that were more durable and gave him a lot of different sizes for when he grows or destroys an outfit. Next day, Naruto woke up the next day early in the morning and could feel himself fully healed. He heard an alarm going off and liquid draining off of his body. He realized he was in the rejuvenation tank. I don't remember going into the tank. I don't even remember anything after I was hit by that blast, he thought as he exited the rejuvenation tank. He flexed his muscles and rolled his shoulders and felt no pain. Good as new, but I still need to take a shower, he said as he left the healing area. After his shower, he went to put some clothes on and noticed he had a lot of outfits in his room. I don't remember having this many clothes. Why is there so much clothes here? He asked himself. Then he thought about it. It was only one person who could have done this for him. Vados, he thought. You know, if you wanted to act like my mom, all you had to do was ask, he exclaimed since he knew she was somewhere watching him. Champa's planet. She was watching him from her staff and she simply smiled at his reaction. What's with the smile, Vados? Champa asked. It's nothing, my lord. Did you need anything? She asked. Yes, that boy we met on Earth. Naruto was his name if I remember correctly. How strong do you think he is right now? Champa asked. Well, I've felt his base power level hit 30 million. But, I've felt his energy spike up to 1.5 billion and 3 billion. I'm guessing he can suppress his power level. The lowest I've felt him suppress it was down to about 500, and that was when he scared you, my lord. Vados said. He didn't scare me. I simply thought I saw a piece of meat on the ceiling and didn't want it to go to waste. Anyway, I want you to keep an eye on him. His growth rate impresses me from what you've just told me. I know he's only 11, but he's caught my interest. If he grows to a point of my liking, I want you to train him. I know it seems odd, but I have a feeling in the future that we will need strong fighters for something. I don't know what for, but I think it's going to happen. Champa said. As you wish, my lord. How often shall I check up on him? She asked. You don't need to see him in person, just monitor his power level for the next 3 years. If he reaches a certain point, I'll let you offer him your training, but for now just monitor him. Champa said. As you wish, my lord. Vados said as Champa walked away. With Naruto. Okay, I've used my regular Super Saiyan form since I was 8 and have been using it regularly for 3 years. Add in the fact that I've been transformed for almost a year. I should start focusing on getting used to Super Saiyan 2. I'll need to add meditating to my training routine. That form generates a lot of malice, and I'm usually a calm person, but I didn't want to do anything but kill Taro again after I transformed. He said. He began to transform into Super Saiyan 2, but it was hard. He could feel the power but had a hard time grasping it. He figured he would have to find something he hated and use that to fuel the transformation. He thought about Taro getting him banished and killing his mother. And he thought about Frost sending his men to the planet and himself coming to kill him. Neither of those worked. There was only one thing left for him to think about. Kale and Caulifla. He thought. That was the trigger. He felt the power swell inside of him, and like a dam breaking, the power flooded through his body. With one final push, he transformed. His hair stood up more than it was in his regular Super Saiyan state. The lightning was more intense than the last time, and his aura was more fierce and intense, like a raging flame. Do I really hate them that much? He thought as he sat down in the training room. This will take a while to get used to. He said as he began to meditate. Champa's planet. That must have Naruto's spike in power. But why is it filled with so much rage? Vados thought. Vados picked up her staff and used it to check on Naruto. When she got a picture of him, he was just sitting down meditating. But his face was scrunched up like he was angry at something. Nothing seems out of the ordinary for him. His hair seems to be spikier, but I could be wrong. This isn't much to inform Lord Champa about. I'll just monitor his power level every time it increases. I can't check on him every time his power level spikes. Perhaps Fua was right. Maybe I have gained some kind of motherly affection for him. She thought as she turned off her staff and set it down. I'll check his power twice a year for the next 3 years. That should be a decent amount of time for me to gather his power level for Lord Champa. She said. Kale and Caulifla. Alright, Kale, it's time for us to begin our training. Let's start off with a spar and move on from there. Caulifla said, powering up. Right. Kale said as she powered up as well. They flew at each other and their fists connected with one another, creating a crater underneath them. Just you wait, Naruto, next time we see each other I'm kicking your. Caulifla thought. With Naruto gone, I'll have to step up and become stronger. I will not let Caulifla's training go to waste. Kale thought. With Naruto. Watch out, world. Naruto is going to show himself to you all really soon. He thought as he got ready for the rest of his training. In space. A ship flying through space was loaded with workers, from scientists to fighters. In the main room, however, a giant man with blue skin and orange hair was sitting on a chair that looked like it belonged to a king. Have we located Namek yet? He asked. Not yet, sir. But the other scientists have narrowed our search down from 12 years to 3 years. We're getting closer. A scientist answered. That's good news, try and speed it up. The man said. Yes, sir. The scientist said and left the room. I want those dragon balls for myself. I'm the only person who knows about them, so I should be able to find them without a problem. I will become immortal even if I have to wipe out all of Namek to do so. The mysterious man said with an evil laugh.